before I get into the details of my third book, I'd like to give you a bit of background about myself and my first meeting with Albert. I grew up in Canada and was raised in a very religious Roman Catholic family. After high school, I somehow ended up in law school, and after I graduated from law school, I went to Calgary, where I began a corporate law practice that lasted for about 34 years. But over the years, my religious upbringing lost its influence slowly, and I began to question a lot of the beliefs that I was taught as a child. And I soon rejected many of the dogmas of the Catholic Church, and I began searching for a new paradigm to latch onto. And I constantly asked myself the eternal questions of life. Who am I? Why am I here? What is my life's purpose? And what happens to me when I die? And then one fateful day in 2007, my life was transformed, and all my questions were answered. It happened when I was walking down the street one sunny afternoon. And I was a typical corporate lawyer, very buttoned down, straight-laced, stuffed shirt kind of a lawyer, walking down the street in my navy pinstripe suit. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a homeless man jumps out in front of me. And he looked like a typical homeless man. He had long, stringy hair, a scraggly beard, and dirty, slept-in clothes. But I didn't step around him, as was my usual move when I encountered homeless people, because he had these amazing, dazzling blue eyes that shone like two little blue stars. And his gaze, I felt that he was penetrating deep within me, right down to the depths of my soul. And I felt that he somehow knew everything about me, everything I'd ever said or done in my life, and he knew my hopes and aspirations, and all my fears and anxieties, and my deepest and darkest secrets, which was surprising because we had never met before. But I didn't feel violated, because at the very same time, his eyes were sending me a wave, an amazing wave of pure, unconditional love that was infusing my whole body with an amazing sense of peace and security and well-being. It was a wonderful feeling. So I stood there like a deer caught in the headlights, like I was in a time warp. I'm not sure how long I stood there, but he finally broke the spell by saying to me, "Why are you here?" And then he promptly disappeared into a nearby store. Well, when I finally collected my wits, I went into the store to find him, but he was nowhere to be seen. So I walked back out onto the street, and I walked up and down, hoping to spot him, but he had seemingly disappeared into thin air. So the very next day, I went back to the same street at the same time, hoping I could find him. And after walking up and down several blocks for 15 or 20 minutes, I finally spotted him sitting all alone on a bench. So I went up to him and I said, "Who are you, and why did you stop me the other day?" And he said, "I'm a soul just like you, and I'm here to answer your questions and help you on your journey." And that was the beginning of a dialogue that went on for several months after that. And I found out his name was Albert, and he was actually one of my spirit guides in disguise. And he told me that I was the only one who could see him in physical form as the homeless man. And so had anybody been passing by that bench that day, they would have seen me sitting all alone, talking to myself. And when I asked him later, why did he, and he only appeared in physical form for the first 3 encounters I had with him. And after that, he was just a voice in my head, and we communicated by telepathy. And when I asked him why he appeared initially in the form of a homeless man, he said it was his way of easing me into the conversation. Because had he just started talking to me out of the blue as a voice in my head, I likely would have thought I was losing my mind. And he's right, I probably would have. So it was a very clever way for him to introduce himself to me and get me comfortable with the fact that he was my spirit guide and I was talking to my spirit guides. And before that, I wasn't even aware I had spirit guides, so it was quite a revelation for me. And he told me early on that he had chosen me to be one of his messengers. Apparently he has a lot of messengers on our planet. I was just one of them. And he told me he wanted me to write a book about the revelations he was about to give me. And I was taken aback by that a bit, because I'd never even dreamed in my wildest dreams that I would ever write a book. But after some gentle persuasion from Albert, I finally resigned myself to writing the manuscript for my first book, Dancing on a Stamp.